Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Game of Thrones Winter's Coming game. I've been a little bit sick lately, so sadly I haven't been able to push out content as I wanted to. But I'm here today to give you some new content, some new guides about what to do, what not to do early on in the game. And we're going to look at the buildings to begin with in this particular case. As you can see, I have the city section open. This is where the main thing about buildings is going to be. There are of course castles and so on as well outside, but I don't consider them as buildings, but more as how to say it, as pay-to-win mechanics or other sites or other things. Most of the castle skins can be bought or gotten through events anyways, so. But yeah, I apologize if I sound a bit off today. It's because I'm not quite completely recovered yet, but I feel like I'm good enough to be able to push out some content for you all, so we'll look at it. In the resource management video, we talked about how resource buildings can affect your entire economy and as well some of the buffs that you have. And we recommended you at the time that you don't use any army tents, that you just keep a ratio based on mints and hospitals, as well as different resources, resource nodes that you have in the city to basically even out your income or other things that you might require to advance in the game. But now we will talk about a little bit more about the strategic buildings, such as hospitals and mints, more in depth, to give you an idea about why and what is the reason to why we don't pick those things. So the main reason for why we don't go with army tents is because we have barracks. Barracks is the building where you basically train your units and you can upgrade stuff. But if we look at when you upgrade the barracks level, you can see that you have an increase in terms of the amount of troops that you can train in one go. And basically once you get to level 25, you will have 5,000 units you can train at a time, and you have a total defense of increased boost of, I believe it's 10%, yes it's 10% as well along the way. So of course you can see that army tents give defense, which is basically the most less valued stats out of the whole of the total attacks or total health stats that you can get. And you can't really do much about this section, or you can't really do much about getting more troops, because it won't really affect you in the sense, because once you get to the point where you have to train 5,000 units at a time, most likely it will take you a day or longer to complete, so it's not really something that's going to give you any value back. Hospitals, on the other hand, there are plenty of good side effects from. Hospitals allows part of your army that gets wounded to basically not die, so you can still use them after you heal them. Because of that, you can basically have a set army that will never vanish, as long as you keep it within the hospital capacity that you have. Furthermore, hospitals also increase the total health stats, which is really nice boost to your defensive stats in case you get attacked. And it also helps you basically generally withstand attacks from others. Like I said, the hospital capacity allows you to keep an army size of a certain size that won't vanish away. Currently I have an army hospital cap of 612,000, so I can basically have an army of 612,000 and not be scared of what happens. But of course I have more, of course. I don't expect them with my army size to basically just kill off my entire army in one go. So you end up finding a certain balance between what works out for you and what doesn't work as well, and you play according to that style. I prefer a more defensive held back style, so I have I think I have 12 hospitals and 4 mints, if I remember correctly. And that way I can basically keep my army going while still having enough of an army inside to basically protect myself. Of course, mints gives gold, but they also give training speed, as you can see here, training speed, and of course also later on an attack buff. Once we go further down, at level 25 it gives an attack buff. It does that throughout the entire time as well, but it's not, or the training buff at least, so you don't notice it that much, but it's a really good way to help increase the amount of troops that you have, or training troops, and it helps you also give a nice little stat in terms of offensive power to your army and your castle. And total attack is probably one of the most valuable stats that you can get in this game, because when you attack someone or you get attacked, total attack applies to all your troops at the same time. Since all your troops are involved, all of them will get the buff. Whereas with health and defense, only the front line of the troops will have actually benefit from the buff, because all the other troops can't really, are not in front line, they're not dying, so they don't benefit until the front line is dead. So that's why attack and total attack in general is seen as the most valuable stat that you can have in this game, as it allows you to increase your overall power and makes it much more difficult to attack you, or makes it easier for you to attack others. Because of that, a lot of people also focus on attacks rather than defensive powers, so don't be surprised if you see people that have 700 or 800% in attack and then only 200 or something like that, or 300 in defensive stats, because that's how the meta is in the game currently. So, but yeah, I would recommend you, depending on how much risk you want to take, you'll find out a balance between hospitals and mints that you can build in this area over here, and in the back here. And like I said, I think I run with a 12 hospital 4 mint ratio right now. And of course you have also the hospital within the main city that also has benefit and so on, that you can upgrade and get better things for, and so on. So if you look further on, we have the research tower here, and research is probably one of the most important aspects of the game, because it unlocks all the new troops, it unlocks all the different kinds of boosts that you can have in terms of army, in production, in killing rival leaders or rival groups and so on. And all of these can benefit you in events, it can also benefit you in general growth, and basically you want to have a research percentage of 300 as fast as you can. I would recommend you to upgrade the research tower as fast as you can, since the higher level it is, the more stats it gets, and the more research is also unlocked for you to use in this game. And research is in general just a huge upgrade for you, because it allows you to grow much faster. Once you reach 300% research speed, you will start to get less value out of your research, but you can go higher if you want to speed up the really long research projects that are in, because there are projects that you will hit that I have like 400, 500 or maybe 600 days before you can complete them, despite the 300% research speed that you have. So you're benefiting from it either way to maximize the research as much as you can. And of course you can always switch around between a war setup and a research production setup, so you can, during peaceful times, focus on growing, and in war times you can focus on fighting. Have to keep in mind that as the research tower upgrades, you get higher or more research speed, but these don't stack. So you can get a maximum of 30% from the normal grade in research tower, and later on in glory, which I will explain in a later video, you can get even more research speed as well, that will stack on top of the regular one. But yeah, so now we have looked through the research tower, and we have looked at the hospital. Training grounds is the PvP area. You can't really do anything there. There's also another mode, if you can say like that, where you can, which is called Expedition Beyond, where you can get some refinement stones or such that you can help build out your stats and other things that we'll show you later on. Military grounds basically is just to keep an overview of your army, what you have, formations that you can run, configurations that you can set up once you have unlocked them in the research tower, which makes attacking, killing and so on much easier, and helps you improve your overall game experience. In the back we have the Dragon Isle, which covers all of the dragons that you have, your entire dragon skills and setup, so on, and you can set them out on exploration if you want to, or you can basically just get the dragon skills to upgrade with. And dragons also play a huge role in terms of both production and war, or more resource harvesting and war. So we will also have at some point, when we go more in depth in the war guide, we can take a look at how those things affect your gameplay and how you can plan around having dragons and how they can benefit your army and your stats in the army. We have vibrant memories where you can upgrade your commanders. You can get tools for your commanders. We can take a look at it really fast if it allows us to go in. Where you can fight other commanders, you can get items that you can use to upgrade your commanders, which is very important. And you can also get medals to basically unlock the commanders or upgrade them to a certain level. And because of that, it's very recommendable that every time you have the chance to, you can see how up here how much stamina you have for it. I recommend you to always get it as low as possible to keep using your attempts and get as many commanders as you can outside from it, and upgrade them as high as possible. Later on I will go into a video discussing about which commanders to focus on and what commanders are good for which situation and so on. And all of that is also coming in the future, so don't worry about that. We have the ceremonial sept here. Kind of expensive. You can basically marry one of the people on your server or in the kingdom that you're in, and that way you can get a small stat boost and ring and so on, but I believe it costs 60,000 or 80,000 blue diamonds. And right now I would not recommend it unless it's just for something like you want some extra stats, or you just have the diamonds that you don't need laying around. Then I would highly recommend you to do it. Otherwise, don't bother with it. Chroniclers is what's happening around other kingdoms. Maybe they have good information about certain tips or events and so on, so you can check that out as well from time to time if you want to. Garrison shows you the troops that are garrisoned in your city. Only one person can garrison a troop inside your city at a time. So if you're being used as a hotel for others to keep their troops safe, make sure to check in there before you move around, because as soon as you move your castle around, then the garrison and everything else will just be left pushed out of your castle, and that might leave the troops open for enemies to take. We have the wall here faster we can talk about, that you can upgrade. The upgrade will allow you to have more durability on the wall, and will allow you to have fortifications and all those kind of things. But in general the wall is not very good. The researches for the walls are also terrible, so I would not recommend you to use them. I know there are a lot of games where you can where you think that if you have defensive setups, that it's much harder to take it down. In this case, the wall is paper thin. It gets easily taken down, and also taking down all the fortifications that you have on the wall and everything else are set out of motion as well. So only use it if you absolutely have to just spend away some of your resources and you have plenty of them. Otherwise, I would not recommend you to really do much more than what's required for you with the wall to basically progress in the game. You will be forced to level up to level 25, because I believe the castle and the research tower will require you to have a level 25 wall to get those to level 25. So either way, you will have to upgrade it, but like I said, just do it at your own pace and don't really think that it will keep you safe, because it won't. There's a city defense section where you can see the amount of fortifications you have, the amount of fortifications that can be repaired, similar to how the wounded system is, but in this case it's only a percentage of the fortification that gets destroyed that goes into repairs. The rest are just gone forever, so even more reason to why it's not that great of a system they have in terms of walls and fortifications. Then there is the defense setup that you can use, where you can put in commanders to defend your castle in case of an attack, and it's generally like a good idea to have set up things, and you can also set up the dragons that you want to have to defend your city, or set a dragon if it's not in the city defending, then set certain dragon as a substitute. So important to choose which commanders you have inside. It might actually make the difference between a win or a loss if you get attacked, so keep an eye on that. But yeah, like I said, this will probably be the first half of the video. I'll have a second half as well later on, where I explain the remaining structures that are in the city, and also maybe go into glory section as well, as I don't want the video to become too long or too progressive. So yeah, if you have any questions about the game or anything like that, or want any certain guides or anything, you're welcome to put it down in the comment section. I will try and answer them if there's anything, and of course links to the games down in the description as well for the music and other things, the Discord group, and I might also put some of my social media down there if you want to look at those. But like I said, plenty of options in this game, and I'm sort of sorry for the sudden abrupt ending, but it's basically just part 1 of 2 or 3 parts that I plan to do about buildings. And I hope that explaining how the buildings work and what to focus on, and what to do with them, will help you benefit in the game further on, and help you in events and other things. So yeah, that was all for me for this time. I hope I'll be more recovered by the next time, so I won't sound like a broken record. And yeah, we'll see each other soon again. Bye for now, and take care.